Welcome to Two Luckies,
the podcast,
and our series Dyin,
Cryin,
and
Lyin.
This is a series of us talking about Little House on the Prairie and our take on it as adults.
It is very different as an adult.
Very different. And if you sum this all up, they can fall into one of three categories, either Dyin,
They're crying,
or they're
lying.
So sit back, relax, come take an adventure with us as we reminisce on Little House the Prairie, Dyin,
Cryin,
and
Lyin. Hey, you made
Yay!
it! This is our season 1 recap of our Little House on the Prairie series that we call Dyin,
Cryin,
and Lyin.
Our first recap is going to be on the pilot.
The pilot, we had no idea what we were doing. We didn't know if we were allowed to say anything or say their names. So we tried to come up with different ways, and that's how we ended up with Chaz. Because when Charles is trying to get that wagon across the river and he gets swept under, Ma screams out loudly, Chaz! Chaz! And he goes under the wagon, under the water. And we have been laughing about that ever since, even though it was supposed to be some kind of serious thing. But I still think she drove the wagon better than he did.
The next episode in the series was A Harvest of Friends.
A Harvest of Friends, and you have nicknamed that
A Harvest of Debts.
Of Debts, and why was that?
Well, the family had just gotten into Walnut Grove, and they settled down, and they bought the farm from Mr. Hanson, I think it was.
I think they bought the land from Mr. Hanson, yes.
Bought the land from Mr. Hanson. No, they were going to homestead it. They didn't buy it.
Right, they were going to homestead it, and he was doing all of the lumber and everything for Mr. Hanson and paying back the bill by working at the lumber mill.
And that's where he built the little house that we love to make fun of for being one room.
Yes, we do.
Next episode up was Country Girls.
Country Girls, and that's where we heard long-legged snipe, and then we found out that the girls were wearing clothes that were way too small for them. They all knew it, but they had money for tobacco and coffee, but those girls were wearing stuff that was too short and getting made fun of at school.
Don't forget the fiddle.
With the fiddle.
We had
and,
the fiddle.
You know, in the beginning we had the fiddle and the pipe and the tobacco and all that other stuff, and we've been enjoying this.
Yes, that was the episode where the girls first went to school, and then we met Miss Beadle.
Yes, and we met Nellie and Willie. The next episode was the 100-mile walk, and that is where we got his dream team of horses jingling in because he was the victor over there, and he had to make sure he went and got his dream team before he even came home after being away for so long, and they got all that wheat up even though he said it was impossible.
Mm-hmm. Next episode was Mr. Edwards' Homecoming. And that's where we see Mr. Edwards in Mankato, and he was in a huge bar fight.
He was a big fight.
He was sauced.
He was really drunk.
But that's where he comes into town, and he meets the widow Snyder, and Ma does her prying.
Oh, she was prying with that crowbar in that basket.
The next episode was actually turned out to be one of our favorites to do. The Love of Johnny Johnson.
And what's funny is while we were recording that one, we were like, oh my goodness gracious, this was going to be terrible. We laughed so hard listening to the playback of the Johnny Johnson. I mean, it ended up being a really funny episode. And that was our first episode with our new setup of watching it and recording at the same time.
Previously, we had watched the whole episode, and then we would come back and recap it.
We would recap the whole thing, like taking notes and stuff like that. And this was our first time watching and pausing and recording in between.
Next episode up was If I Should Wake Before I Die. And that's where we met the old ladies who lived together, and one of them died right off the bat. Thank you, Dyin.
Yes, they were dying. And Miss Amy, who was the one that was left, and she gets this idea to have a funeral while she's alive from Laura. And this is where we really start to find out that Laura is really good at paying attention to what's going on. And she identifies the lying almost as much as we do.
Oh, yeah.
The next episode was Town Party, Country Party, and they had parties in the town, and they had parties in the country, and that was when Mary got that blingity bling.
Oh, she
could
was all
not
about
stop
the bling.
staring.
That's
all
also
about
where
the
we
bling.
met Olga.
That is where we met Olga. And, there's a lot of characters in this show that you either see once. And I feel like that Olga the girl who played Olga, is in another episode or something.
She might be.
I really do feel that that actress shows up again, but more often than not, we just see them once. But Mary was all about that bling in that episode.
The next episode was another favorite, Ma's Holiday.
Ma's Holiday came up with a bunch of stuff. They went from some business trip that Charles had to take on his own to, all of a sudden he invited Ma for like last minute, and it was supposed to be a holiday. She did nothing but complain and be upset, and she was off kilter the whole time. And then somehow it got upgraded to like a second honeymoon. And we had a lot of laughs on that one. And that was the one that we had a surprise die-in that they talked about in the hat shop. And they were talking about somebody dying, and we were like, we got dying in an episode. We didn't think we were going to have it.
It also featured a lot of Mr. Edwards.
Yes, it featured a lot of Mr. Edwards.
And Carrie.
And Carrie. Carrie was rocking that episode. She was all over the place. The next episode was School Mom, and we found out that Ma's tendency to be late was right all the way down through Mary and Laura, because now if you want to know why they're late, Ma is always late. And she had a very hard time understanding social cues in that point. She did not seem to understand that all of these kids who were laughing and tittering at this boy who was really just disadvantaged and didn't have a chance to learn. It wasn't that he was incapable of learning. He just didn't have a chance.
Right.
And she missed it all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Next up on the list was the raccoon. And boy, did that bring some surprises, huh?
That brought a bunch of surprises.
We had a trifecta in that one.
We had a trifecta, and we even had Jack the dog was crying in that one. That was another surprise, because I wasn't ever expected to get a crying category on an animal where they've managed to fit it in there. They were bringing it.
Oh, yeah.
Then we had the voice of Tinker Jones.
And that one actually starred Sean Penn, one and only time.
Yes, and he was uncredited, I think, in that one. And that was the most honest episode we have ever hit. But even then, they hit 2 out of 3 of our categories. And it gave us an element that showed up in the show pretty much forever afterwards, that bell.
Oh, yeah. Next episode up was the award, and that's the one where we find out that Mary has a little bit of a devilish side to her.
Yes.
And boy, was she hitting that Lyin button from beginning to end.
They were pressing that button like they were sitting on it.
And it also had one of my favorite quotes about Ma.
What's that one?
That was the one where she was, you say about her responsibilities, no, her authority.
Oh, that she was outsourcing she was outsourcing her decisions to Reverend Alden. And that every time he says it's his favorite one, but he always says, what did you say again? And I'm like, Ma's over here outsourcing her decisions.
If you're following the series, the next 2 that were in line were actually The Lord is My Shepherd, Part 1 and 2. Now, we did do recordings of these episodes, but we chose not to put them out at this time. The subject matter was
just a little too sensitive, so we archived.
Very sensitive, so we do have a copy of that for maybe a future release, but we're going to hold back on that one, which would bring us to our next episode that we did put out, which was Christmas at Plum Creek.
Christmas at Plum Creek, which, I have to admit, this whole season I'm like, oh, I think I know that one. Most of the time I was completely wrong, and I was remembering some other episode with a similar topic that was later on, but this was their first Christmas at Plum Creek.
Right, and it shows what happens when everybody wants to keep secrets.
Everyone kept secrets in that one. It was like secret, secret, secret all the way around. After that, we had Family Quarrel, which was really more about the Olsen family than anything else. And
right.
Nels and Mrs. Olsen had a huge fight, and it rippled out all over the place, and it was a big hullabaloo, but it brought a lot. It's been a lot of fun doing this. We've really been enjoying it.
Even that one, they hit our category.
They hit our categories because so far, this entire season, even the archived episodes, had at least 2 out of the 3, and some of them had 3 out of the 3, and some of them had guest stars of prying and guest stars of spying, but we definitely have been hitting our categories, and that one was actually more fun than we thought it was going to be.
Next episode in the series was Doctor's Lady, And that's one of these episodes where you meet a character for the first and last
For
time.
the first time, for the last time, all in the same episode.
That one featured obviously Doc Baker and a relative of the Olsons, and boy, even on that one, which seemed slow to watch, they still hit the
They
categories.
still did. They brought it because they knew that this was Dyin, Cryin, and Lyin. The Plague was the next episode, and I find it interesting because we were like, oh, we know this one. And it turned out that the ones that we actually really did know felt very slow to watch when we were recording them for some reason.
Well, they were good episodes to watch because it was all about survival and, how they really had to struggle, especially during the 1800s. But when it came to Dyin, Cryin, and Lyin, yeah, obviously there was a lot of dying in that one, but really kind of slow on the other two.
They were slow on the other two. I mean, they figured they were pressing that Dyin button so much that they didn't really have much more room for any Lyin or Cryin. The Circus Man is the next episode, and that's when this guy just comes out of nowhere, shoots something in the yard, and somehow takes up residence at the Ingalls farm, and all kinds of hijinks ensued. But that was another fun episode.
That was one of those episodes I thought I knew what it was until I didn't know what it was, and it's like, oh, but yeah, it was really good.
I'm not even sure if I ever saw that entire episode, though. I may have seen bits or pieces of it, but I actually don't think that I saw that one when we were kids.
But it's worth checking out.
Yes, it definitely was.
Child of Pain was up next, and that one...
That was a rough one.
It was rough.
It was a rough one. It was a very
of
serious topic.
Sensitive material going on, but even with all of that, they still managed to hit the categories. And
I think we got all three in that episode. We had Dyin, we had Cryin, and we had Lyin in that episode.
That was another trifecta.
That was another trifecta. They brought us Money Crop next, and I'm telling you, I still think that's the reason why we got all this ethanol is because they couldn't make any money with any corn, and they had to go on and make corn, and then they made so much corn that now we got this ethanol over here.
Yeah, but definitely an episode you want to check out because it does highlight one thing. What happens when you have one man that's willing to go out and do what's needed to be done versus what seemed like the rest of the town who just pretty much bitched the whole time.
They sat around and just complained and they didn't even try to help. And we do have to give an attaboy to Charles for this because this man who went to go get the seed would have expired if Charles was not looking for him, and he was the only one looking for him.
Only one.
Out of everyone.
Survival was up next, and I gotta say, this was an episode that I've seen many times.
Yes.
Because it's interesting how you could be out in that kind of wilderness, that kind of landscape. You're so far in the spring just to be saddled by a blizzard that doesn't just last a day, or two, or three, but weeks.
Well, the interesting thing about this episode is as a kid, I was really into it. I was like, wow, this was a really difficult thing they went through. And as an adult, I'm looking at it and I'm like, they live in the woods and they didn't see the signs that there were some, there are definitely signs. The animals show signs, the land shows signs, the weather shows signs. And they missed every single one of them so they could bring us this episode.
But it's definitely worth watching.
Then we had To See the World, and that was the return of Johnny Johnson.
Johnny Johnson.
We were like, is that Johnny Johnson? And he ended up not wanting to do much around the house for his pa. He was supposed to be in school. He drops out of school. He's going to see the world. He ends up in Mankato with Mr. Edwards. And Mr. Edwards was sitting on that Lyin button for us because they knew it. Just like we do, this is Dyin, Cryin, and Lyin.
And the season wrapped up with Founders Day, which once again was an episode. Oh, I know what this one is. And then
we were
it
wrong. I mean, we weren't lying. We really thought that it was an episode that we had seen before.
I think what happens is I get my seasons mixed up.
Yes, because they've had other Christmas specials. They've had other Founders Days. And I think the one that sticks in your mind is probably the one that you see the most or something like that. But I mean, I know I've seen this one.
Yeah, but it pretty much sums up, a town celebration. Founding Day, I'm going to say, is probably the founding of the town.
Right, and it's interesting because we did forget to talk about it. We literally just recorded this episode a little while ago. We forgot to talk about the fact that Charles said that it was really just a racket for them to make money in town, and it was just for it was so the Olsons could make the money and the Hanson could make money, and whatever hucksters come to town. And I wish I had mentioned some of these things. I would like to start doing some kind of a recap after each episode of like the things we left out, because sometimes we leave out stuff that we laugh about for days.
So I think to sum that all up, really, season 1 had some good episodes.
Yes.
But it definitely had some episodes that threw me for a loop. I didn't realize how much of season 1 I actually didn't watch.
Or didn't know about, or like, wow, I've never seen this episode. And you brought up a good point about the Olsen children.
Yeah.
They were not in this very
Hardly
often.
at all.
I mean,
Hardly at
the
all.
parents of the Olsens were in this quite a bit. But Nellie and Willie, I don't know. I remember Nellie and Willie being like a very big part of the show.
And I think the other part of it too is, being season 1, and especially going from the pilot all the way to the end, they're still developing the characters. So
Yes, there's some
I
things
think
that they do.
That's why you get a lot of the quirkiness.
Well, one of the quirks that I've noticed is in season 1, Harriet Olsen is an excellent cook, and she, makes pies that are good enough to be put in competitions. And then in the later seasons, she could burn water just by looking at it. So they really did make some changes, and they were really just finding the characters in the beginning.
So we hope that you find the episodes interesting like we do, and you're enjoying our series.
Yes, we
Dyin,
hope you're
Cryin,
enjoying
and
it,
Lyin.
and how we're pointing out that how we're finding all these categories all over the place. I mean, even the dog was crying. And give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. Let us know. Give us a hey, you did this good. You like this or something. Tell a friend.
And I will say this, as much as we're kind of beating up on the characters in the show, I thought it was a good show. I watched this show for many years.
Yes, we both did.
If anything, I kind of feel like we're just making fun of the writing.
It's more the writing than the characters, because let's face it, the characters have to do whatever the writers say.
And let's not forget, these characters were actually a real family during this time period.
Yes, this is based on real people. And then Laura Ingalls Wilder wrote a book. And then there's a whole bunch of things about that you can look into, because there's some kind of supposition that her daughter may have been the one that read it, if you really look into it.
Yeah, hard to say.
Or read it, the one that wrote it. And now we have this whole series based on this family who actually lived during this time period.
Yeah, but I'll give a shout out to all the characters, whether the writing was good, whether it was poor. They really did a good job of bringing it, and they made sure that we had the categories of Dyin, Cryin, and Lyin. So make sure that you stick with us, because coming up next is going to be the start of season 2.
We are ready for season 2.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! And before we wrap up, we do have some favorite elements that we're hoping continue. We have the Carrie report.
Yay, Carrie.
Yay! We have the shirt report, and we look for the jingling team of dream team of horses.
The smirk report.
The
we got the fiddle.
We got the hands deep in the pockets report. So we're hoping that you enjoy it with us. And that's our recap of season 1. Get ready for season 2.
Season 2 up next.
Yes. Well, next week.
And that concludes this episode of Two Luckies.
Two Luckies, the podcast.
And our series, Dyin,
Cryin,
and Lyin.
We released these in 3s, so if you enjoyed it, there's more. Go check it out.
Go check them out. We'll see you next time.
We're out.
See ya.
Two Luckies, the podcast.
Two Luckies podcast.
Two Luckies, the podcast.
And thanks for sticking around to the
You
end of this
did it.
one for the fun fact. The fun fact for the whole season. We have all of these on DVD, and there was one in particular where it seemed every episode we watched had some kind of thing where it would say damage,
Or malfunction
jump
or
ahead,
something.
and then we'd have to watch it in reverse to go back so the machine could play it over again.
Yes, and it took us quite a while to get through those episodes.
And I'm thinking, man, I hope the rest of them aren't like this, because this is going to be a long time coming. But fortunately, it was only that one disc.
Fortunately, it was that one disc, and so far I think it was like 3 out of those 4 episodes or something like that we had to go back and forth. We were watching them backwards, and we were watching them forwards, and we watched them both ways, and we really enjoyed bringing this to you. Thanks for staying.
Thanks for listening.